Lesson 6 is the adjectives. You've been doing your homework, I presume. Isn't it fun? If you think that was fun, you ought to see Chapter 6. The important thing is that you stay with those vocabulary words, stay with the forms, and then really get your understanding from one chapter before you go on to the next. Now, in this chapter, we're going to look at the adjectives, and then agreement between adjectives and their words they modify, use of the article, and then the uses of the adjectives, as we'll see in 3 different uses. First, the vocabulary. Paragraph 60. You'll find we're on page 33 of Machen and page 11 of the workbook. Agathos, eon, adjective, good. Now you notice that there is not just one letter here after this word, there are 2. Now agathos, being an adjective, has not only masculine forms, it also has feminine and neuter. So we have the eta there to indicate that it's feminine. The feminine form will be eta, and then the on will be the ending for the neuter. So those are not articles now, they are endings for the other 2 genders, the feminine and the neuter. Allos, E-O, is the word for other, and it really isn't an adjective. It's used as an adjective, but the form comes from a pronoun, and therefore you have O there instead of own. Allos, O-own, or O, allos, E-O. Then dikaios, A-own, righteous. Now notice that agathos had E, eta, and dikaios has alpha. Now we'll talk about that in just a moment, but that's something to notice as we go along. Iero, I raise up. Iero, I raise up. That's a verb, a new verb for you. Eremos, E, a desert. Note that too. Eremos, but it's E, feminine, a desert. Eskatos, eon, last. Kakos, eon, bad. Kalos, eon, good or beautiful. Kyrios, O, the Lord or a Lord. Kyrios, O. Mikros, aon, little or small. Nekros, aon, dead. And then the article, o-e-to. Now you've seen this before. O-e-to, that's the article, the. Othos, e, a road or a way. And notice that's omicron sigma ending, but eta indicating that it's feminine. Pistos, eon, faithful. And then protos, eon, first. And we have to talk about a couple of things here. First of all, that eta or alpha. Which is it going to be? Agathos, eta. And then dikaios, alpha. Now what that means is that the eta is going throughout the entire feminine singular, or the alpha is going throughout the entire feminine singular. So we're not talking about just 2 cases, we're talking about the whole singular. If it has an eta there, it's going all the way eta throughout the singular. If it has an alpha, it'll be alpha throughout the singular. Now, how do you know which? How did Machen know to put the eta or the alpha in there? Well, the rule is the same as we had in paragraph 55 in the previous chapter. If the stem ends in a rho, iota, or epsilon, then the alpha will be throughout the singular. Same letters, but different results. That is, there won't be a mixture, but one solid. So that's why the theta is the last letter of the stem of agathos, and therefore the letter in the feminine is going to be eta. The dikaios, the last letter of the stem is iota, therefore the letter is going to be alpha. Now notice on through. Eskatos, the last letter is the toph, therefore it's not rho, iota, or epsilon, therefore eta. The same as kakos, same as kalos. Mikros is ends in rho, that is the stem does, and the alpha will be in the feminine, singular. Nekros, same thing. So I think you can see how that goes. Follow on through, watch it, and then we'll come back to it a little later. Now, notice also in the paragraph just below the vocabulary that eremos and othos are feminine. Now, the ending and the whole form is going to look just like logos. Os, u, o, on, aon, s, us. It's going to look exactly like logos, but it's going to be feminine. Now, in your workbook on page 11, I've said there are 2 nouns which look masculine, but are declined, and their decline is masculine, but they're really feminine. Now, notice that next sentence. The way you can tell is that the old, dry, dusty road and desert are feminine. The old dry and dusty things are feminine there, the road and the desert. We'll get back to the men later. We'll get that in the next chapter. In any case, that's a way to remember it, okay? That way. If you didn't catch it, it's okay. The forms now, I want to look first of all at the forms of agathos, the feminine, or the adjective, and they're here on the board. You see that agathos, and these are at the bottom of page 33 in Machen, you see that you have the same as logos here, just like logos. Os, u, o, on, e, on, is, us. This is just like graphi, e-e-c-in. Whoever put that up there got it wrong. E-e-c-in, and then e-on, es-as. And then doron, on, u, o, on, and a-on, is, a. In other words then, these are going to be just like your nouns because they have 24 forms, because they're going to have to modify. I can say the good word, I can say the good road, I can say the good writing, gravi, or I can say the good gift. And I can say it in any form. So I need all 24 forms for good in order to be able to use it in all areas, masculine, feminine, and neuter. Now, these forms then we'll put later on in the workbook following the others. So those are the forms of the adjective. Now we want to look at the forms of the article, and they're on in Machen, page 34, paragraph 63, and I have them written over here on the flip chart. The article is the. If I want to say the anything, I'll use one of these forms. I can say the word, o logos, or I can say of the word, to logu, and so forth. This will agree with the word that it modifies, just as the adjective will. So you see then I have o, u, o, on, e, on, is, us. I have e, is, e, in, and then a, on, s, as. And then again, just like doron, except there's no ni here. The article has just a o, but the u, o, to, and then a, on, is, a. So this is going to be very much like the forms of the logos, graphi, and doron, except for that ni being missing there. Now, these will be modifying nouns. I can say the noun, I can say the good, whatever it is, and we'll have these ready to use when we make sentences and when we translate our sentences. Then we have we want to put these along with the adjective and the article. We want to put on that page 10A that we had in the workbook. So if you'll open your workbook now to page 10A. You see, you already have these filled in. You did like I told you. Logos, ora you put in there, graphi, and doron. Now, the adjectives on the same endings, remember, just like logos, agathos, right down the line here. And then agathi, and then doron. Well, we put mikra in here because some of them have that alpha throughout instead of the ite. So we put mikra, depending on all your adjectives will have either one or the other of these two. Then you have room for the article. The article, you see the o, e, do. Then you put all the other forms right here. In other words, we don't want to make something hard out of this. All you've done so far is learned 3 sets of endings. Now, we want to use those sets of endings in the nouns, adjectives, and in the article. Okay? Now, we need to find out how to use these, the adjectives and the article. The article is really an adjective. It modifies. And paragraph 66 tells us something about that. It tells us about agreement. Adjectives, paragraph 66, adjectives including the article agree with the nouns they modify in gender, number, and case. Look at his examples. O logos. The article is O. That's nominative masculine singular. Logos is nominative masculine singular. So they agree. That will be the word. If I want to say of the word, then I have to use to logu, or to logo, to or for the word. Vlepo ton logon. I see the word. Eloi, ton logon, tis lois, vlepo tus logos, and so forth. Now, well, I might as well go with number 2. To thoron and tu thoru. But now look at number 3. E ora tis oras. Now before they've looked pretty much alike. Now they don't look so much alike. E ora. Now they're both nominative feminine singular. Therefore they do agree. So we're talking about agreement and not looking alike. Tis oras. That is, both of those are genitive feminine singulars. And then ti ora, dative feminine singular. So they won't always look alike, but they must agree, gender, number, and case. Look at number 4. Eothos. Eothos. E looks feminine. Othos looks masculine. But in fact, remember, othos is feminine, even though it looks masculine. Eothos. Tis othu. Again, round through. So make sure that they agree, gender, number, and case. The paragraph 67 simply says, when you have the article, make sure you translate it the, just to indicate that it's there. Or if there's no article there, then say a in the singular, or simply plural in the plural. But don't ever get the idea that that's all there is to it. That's all we can do right now at our stage of the game. Now we want to ask ourselves, how do we use the adjective? I'm going to follow along what Machen does, and then I want to show you how we can simplify it a little bit, I believe. Paragraph 68. Adjectives are used in 2 distinct ways, either attributively or predicatively, as attributive or predicate position. We call this position. Attributive position, predicate position. Now, by that I mean the adjective will either have the article or not have the article. Now, when we talk about attributive, we're talking about like the phrase, the good word. That's an attributive adjective, meaning that it's attributing something to the noun. The good word, not the green word, the red word, or the bad word, but the good word. It's like an attribute. You think of an attribute of God, the holy God. That's an attribute. We're giving an attribute, so we call it attributive position. Now, the predicate position would be the word is good. That's making a statement, predicating something about the word, so that is called the predicate position. Now, we say predicate because it's in the predicate part of the sentence. Now, watch this. In the predicate part of the sentence, this is the subject part over here, and this is the predicate part. The predicate includes the verb and the object. Now, if we say the predicate part, we're talking about this part over here. So, the predicate position predicates something about the noun, which will be here, and it is placed in the predicate part of the sentence. 2 reasons for it being predicate. Now, the word will be here then. This is where the predicate adjective will be. The word is good. It will wind up over here, making a statement about it. That's called the predicate position, predicating something about the noun. Now, in paragraph 70, he shows you some good examples of the 2 positions. The good word can be expressed in 2 common ways in Greek, either o agathos logos or o logos o agathos. So, now, the key there is, where is the adjective in relation to the article? And if it's an attributive adjective, it will be adjective after the article attributive. There are 4 A's there. Adjective after the article attributive. The 4 A's would be attributive. Adjective after the article attributive. Now, if the adjective is not after the article, it would be predicate position. Now, those are the 2 keys words, 2 key ways to know the function. Now, notice in paragraph 72, he gives you a summary of it. The attributive position, o agathos logos, or o logos o agathos. O logos agathos, or agathos o logos is the predicate position. Notice in the attributive, the article is immediately before the adjective, or the adjective is after the article. In both cases, in the attributive. Adjective after the article attributive. In the predicate position, the adjective is not after the article. That's why it's translated, the word is good. Now, with that in mind, look at paragraph 75. He says that the attributive position can sometimes be used as a noun. If there's no noun for it to modify, then it'd simply be a good man or a good woman. Notice how he says it. Agathos may mean a good man. Agathi, a good woman. Agathon, a good thing, and so forth. So what he's saying then is the attributive position can be either an adjective modifying a noun, or it can be a substantive taking the place of a noun. Now, if that sounds very confusing, watch this. We're going to straighten it all out. Here it is. If I say, O agathos logos, I have a predicate position. Remember? Predicate position, and I have a noun for it to modify. Therefore, this is going to be the good word. A good word. Now, I can have also O agathos and no noun to modify. Simply O agathos. Well, there's no noun for it to modify, so I must figure out what he's saying. He's saying the good, and then the ending is masculine. So he's saying the good man. Understood. If it were agathi, it would be the good woman, and so forth. So the key is this. If it is a predicate position, that is, the adjective is after the article, then I look to see if there's a noun for it to modify. If there is a noun for it to modify, then it's the good, whatever that noun is, the good word in this case. If there's no noun for it to modify, then it's the good, and then the ending tells me whether it's man, woman, or thing. The good thing. So the predicate position then can have two uses. The adjective use, adjective or noun use, say. Adjective or noun use, depending on whether there is a noun for it to modify. Okay? That's the predicate use. Now see what I did? Just see if you're awake. That's the attributive use. The attributive. The attributive. Adjective after the article, attributive. Now, the predicate use is the adjective without the article. Agathos, and it could be O logos. Now, agathos o logos. This is going to be a predicate adjective, and it will be the word is good. Now, in order to diagram those, we do it this way. This one would be logos o agathos. This one would be O man agathos. This one would be logos O, and then we'll have to put is in here. When we get a Greek word, we'll put the Greek word is, but now we don't have that. The word is, and then agathos. The word is good. O, logos, agathos. So there are three uses then. The adjective use, the noun use, both of these are attributive position. And then there is the predicate use, predicate position, predicating something about the subject or the noun. Now, if you see, read through that again, and then look at the pages of the workbook, and you'll see that they are laid out in just that way. Attributive position, page 12, page 13, and 14. And then on page 15 and 16, there's a flow chart, or 14a and 15. There's a flow chart, which will be helpful in just going through what are the possibilities and so forth. Read that through before you do your homework, and I think that the the position will come clear. Remember then that the adjective and the article, which is also an adjective, will agree in gender, number, and case with the word they modify. They can be used in a predicate way to make a statement about the noun, or they can be used in an adjective fashion to attribute something to the noun, or to take the place of a noun as a substantive. Now, you'll see on page 63 of the workbook some more illustrations of how to diagram. That's back in the addendum. Look at that, and then you'll find some of these exercises that are on page 37 and 38. You'll see some of those used as examples. Again, do 10 Greek to English and 5 English to Greek, and then you'll be ready for the next chapter, which is the prepositions and the one more noun of the first declension.